Hey, Rush and Catherine. I just want to take you up on your invitation to share some cool stories about listening to Rush over the years. I spent almost 25 years as a manufacturer's rep in the new home building industry, driving the roads of California, mostly Southern California. And, I got really tired over the period of time of listening to pop music. So I found this guy on the radio, and at first I thought he was kind of a pompous ass, and I was more or less entertained just by the braggadocious attitude that he had. But I have to say, I eventually got hooked, and I started listening to Rush pretty regularly in the I want to say the early '80s. And so anyway, he was sort of a friend of mine as I was driving these lonely days around, and when his show ended, I really struggled to find somebody else to listen to because there just wasn't anybody like Rush. But anyway, the story I wanted to share with you is I remember one day I was driving along and Rush stopped his show almost in mid sentence and said, "I've just seen something pretty disturbing. There's a report that a professional golfer, Payne Stewart, is in a plane that is flying uncontrollably, out of control, and it's being chased. And I think it's Air Force people that are chasing the plane are suggesting that it's possible that everybody on board is dead, and that the plane is not being, it's on autopilot." Anyway, the story went on, and I was just totally mesmerized. And one of the things I learned about Rush at that point was that he had this lifelong interest in flying and airplanes and airplane history. And so he gave us listeners an incredible insight into what was going on, because most of the mainstream news people really didn't know, and their stories were all over the place. And so during the 3 or 4 hours that I listened to Rush about this, not only learned about the fate of those on board and what probably happened, which of course was heartbreaking, but also learned about how Rush is just a unbelievable a magnet for information and retention of information. And if it's something that he's interested in, he really gets an in-depth knowledge of it and has the ability, which is what makes him so good, to convey that information to the rest of us people who don't really know or understand the complexities of airplanes, and how much fuel they consume and how they fly when nobody's flying them and all that kind of stuff. Um, and since that time, there's been many occasions when Rush has had to do, on the air memorials for a variety of celebrities and politicians who've passed away, sometimes under horrible circumstances. And I have to be honest with you, if there's anybody that's better at that, I don't know who it is. And Rush, I would just like to tell you how much I appreciate you and some of the things that you have taught me, but also some of the most incredible moments in my life have come when you have talked about or memorialized people that, for all intents and purposes, probably would have just gone on into history and left an enormous impression on me. And I think it's changed me for the better. So thank you, buddy. I'm praying for you. God bless.